So that approach of writing for Down 2, let's go back just for a minute, or whatever, for NOLA, the first one in the 90s. And it's say, what would you say, 93, 92, you guys are starting to think like this?
91 was the
Wow.
original three-song, excuse me, three-song demo.
I think I have that, actually. I think I
Which
have
we
that
did.
down demo. I think
Oh,
I
I'm
have
sure,
it.
I'm sure, I'm sure that you do. It was done because Phil was still living in Arlington and Pepper was living in North Carolina, with COC. It was actually a couple of years before Pepper even took over lead vocals for COC.
Right.
So, but I remember just, everybody kind of knows the story, but to try to make it short, we literally just, grabbed a couple of bottles of Jägermeister and a bunch of cheap beer and some shitty weed or whatever. Went to our friend's house on the West Bank of New Orleans. And within a weekend, we wrote Temptations Wings, Losing All, and Bury Me in Smoke. And Phil was writing the shit while we... And literally
the best shit ever, too, dude. You know it is. Come on.
Yeah, and that was like so a Friday afternoon / evening. And then by Sunday morning, I'm guessing we were kind of doing a quick mix on the three songs, and we had to bring Pepper and Pepper stayed in town. Well, we had to bring Phil to the airport to get back to, the Dallas area to do Pantera shit, because at that time, Cowboys was out, and really, I think Vulgar might have been just coming.
Vulgar was happening. If that was 91 or 92, Vulgar was happening.
91, and then what we did another demo with Lifer and something else on it. But most of those songs were written. It was the exact opposite. We had the big time studio and the fancy stuff right here in New Orleans proper, and everybody, we still kind of worked on schedules. Like I'm more of a morning person, so I'd like to be there, in the morning and do my shit, knock it all out, and get home in the evening. And then Pepper would come in and do his stuff. But that stuff was, I know we wrote the song Rehab right before we went in the studio, because I actually have the 5 2-inch reels for the NOLA record in my closet right here. Wow. And our working title for Rehab was ZZ Top, because we just thought it had a little Southern groove to it. We didn't. So on the reel, it's called ZZ Top.
ZZ Top.
I know we wrote Underneath Everything was kind of the main one that was written like. Pepper just came up with the dun 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 dun, dun, and everybody's like, "That's cool." And Phil's on the mic, going, "All right, keep going, no more, two more times. All right, we need to change." Somebody go to court. All right, stop. Let's do this again. And we got a lot of this shit probably on the tape. Nobody's listened to them since 90, like around what was it, April or May of '95. So nobody's even listened to it since then. So we're thinking about. It'd be fun to take it. Our bass player, Shane, from Crowbar, I think you met him, Jason, at the show. Mm-hmm. His brother, Jay, kind of runs studio in the country out in Bogalusa, which is a really famous, that's like what Kansas did, Leftover Tour, and
wow.
All in New Orleans, Dr. John and the Neville was always, everybody's recorded out there. There's been a lot of, and they still do, it's a real old school studio but they've really kept it up, and we kind of want to crank up maybe if the tapes need to get baked or whatever, but just out of curiosity and go back and listen and maybe do some outtake shit or something at some point.
Yeah, a little bit of a remix or remaster at least out there.
Yeah, not to try to redo
No.
It's for fun, like, okay, sure. Let's isolate this, or even do it, film it, do a video of it and go back and listen. How you get these Eagle Rock puts them out and shit, like the making of Motorhead, Ace of Spades, the making of all this. I've got a ton of those fucking things, even though I don't have a DVD any longer. But it'd be fun to do something like that.
Yeah,
but yeah, all of that stuff, unlike Down 2 stuff, is like when we would play a local show every once in a blue moon for fun, basically. In fact, I remember one night Crowbar opening for Down, and we opened for somebody else, and only had like like we tune differently. So I'm in the middle of like changing strings and trying to halfway get it intonated and all this shit in between bands. I'm like, I gotta hurry up and do this. So cause I only had like one guitar, I think for Crowbar and whatever, however it worked. But but we did play most of those songs live. Sometimes with maybe a few different lyrics or whatever, but NOLA was the opposite. It's kind of like most bands in their journey of writing their first record, and that's why I think so many people talk about the sophomore jinx. Where okay, guys, first album did great. We need you in the studio and back on the road. What y'all got? Man, you got nothing. Well, get in there and start writing.
Yeah,
right.
Yep. That's a famous story. That's almost should be in Spinal Tap. That little token of how it works.
Yep. It goes both ways. It's like, okay, the album was a fucking hit. We got to keep you hot. Or the album flopped. We need a hit. So get in there, But it's like either way, back in those days, it was like that for a lot of bands. And for us, like nothing whatsoever from Down 2 was ever played live, or anything prior to being written and recorded at Phil's.
Yeah, you guys on NOLA, you guys had a little bit of time to flush a couple of the songs out. My question,
and it did. It took 4 years as well from the first jam to the actual entering the studio, with a record contract to do the NOLA record.
Yeah.
Where with Down 2, we kind of, took a pretty good break. And then when we got together with it, we had time. We were renting, all this old like vintage gear and shit. And it was like costing a fortune every day because we basically turned the lair, which we call it out there by Phil's, into a mobile studio.
Yeah.
So it's like every day that you're renting a fucking 2-inch Stuart tape machine and all this kind of shit and all these two, preamps and all this console, old school stuff, it gets expensive,
Yeah, and the fact that you were doing it on tape, were you doing it on tape or was it digital?
We did all the drums on tape.
Okay.
And I think we dropped them to Pro Tools.
Right. Okay.
NOLA was on all on 2-inch, but we really tried. I mean, of course, we punched in things here and there because the songs were like so fresh, and it would just, like I said, they would just be written, and it's like, okay, you got to go, all right, Pepper will be like, all right, I'll do the first solo, you got to do the second solo. So most of the guitar work and shit like that, I'm listening to him in there doing his stuff, and I'm trying to write something, to go kind of compliment it and go along with it.
Of course.
And it's like, all right, we're ready for you, come on in, so I'll grab a guitar and tune up and whatever and do it. So, of course there's a few punch-ins and stuff here and there.
Yeah.
But it was, just the spontaneity of it made it wonderful.